who is the great-great-granddaughter of the first female millionaire in the United States of America, Madam C.J. Walker. She's also her biographer, and she's gotten her hands into so many projects as she works to tell the story of Madam Walker. So hello, Alelia.
Hi, Michelle. It's great to be with you.
It's great to be with you too. And let's start with our Culture Soup moment. And you're all about women's empowerment, and a lot of that has to do with Madam Walker's story. And what most people know is she was a titan in hair care, and she empowered Black women to not only learn how to do their own hair, but make money from it too, as they sold products that would make their hair more manageable and also healthy, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, to the story, people know if they know something about Madam Walker, they know maybe that she's a millionaire and that she had something to do with hair.
Yes.
But all of those other dimensions of her, overcoming obstacles, but empowering women, providing opportunities for them to make their own independent income, as well as to enhance their beauty. But she was really about giving women economic independence and then using some of that money that they'd made and that she had made to make a difference in the world as philanthropists and as supporters of really Black activism. I see her as really kind of Black Lives Matter 1.0 when you start to really delve into who she is.
Yes, absolutely. She's all of these hashtags rolled up into one. She's Black Girl Magic. She is Black Excellence. She's all of these things. But I want to concentrate on one hashtag that will get us rolling, and that's hashtag Team Natural.
Definitely.
And I know you've probably used the hashtag before, have you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think because when people know something about Madam Walker, they think about her as the lady with the hot comb. And we have to always correct that little myth that she did not invent the hot comb. But I think it is what she was trying to do was to help people really take care of their hair at a time when most people didn't have indoor plumbing and they didn't have shampoos and products that were really catering to Black women. And she developed a shampoo and an ointment that helped them have healthier hair. And for me, one of the, moments of irony is that in the 60s, because I'm old enough to have been around in the 60s, when people were transitioning from straight hair to natural hair, that my mother took me to the Madam C.J. Walker Beauty School, and the women who were working in the school gave me my first big natural. My hair still had perm in it. They put it up on permanent wave rods, and when it came out, it was curly, and it was a big natural. So it was really about healthy hair, always about healthy hair for Team Natural.
So you use the term 1.0 when you're talking about Black Lives Matter, but she was really Team Natural 1.0 because she was all about education. And the one thing that hashtag did for a lot of women, including myself, was it led you to information on how to take care of your hair. And it was long before a lot of these hair care products and manufacturers had actually gotten on board. I was running my agency at the time, and we'll talk a bit about how we met, but I was running my agency at the time. Hashtag Team Natural took off and was representing a couple of hair care brands that hadn't quite decided to get out of the relaxer business, or at least try some natural products for this audience that was out there. And you saw this burgeoning community online where they were looking at YouTube videos and they were tweeting one another and they were writing blogs on their hair journeys so that other people like them could kind of figure out their hair too. And that is what Madam Walker was doing before the internet, right?
Long before the internet. Listen, I'm sure that she would have been an Instagram girl.
Instagram, not Twitter, not Facebook, but Instagram.
Right. Well, it's all about the visuals. And she was very conscious of portraying things visually. She had a what was called a stereopticon show, which was like PowerPoint that she used as she traveled around the country. She would give lectures, and she had photos not just of hairstyles and
Mm-hmm.
of her demonstrating hair, but of Black institutions, Black schools,
Right.
famous Black people, and she would use that to inspire people. So she knew the power of the visual, and she advertised in Black newspapers. So I know she would have been all over that
Wow.
idea.
Well, Amelia, back up a second. You said stereo opti what?
Stereopticon.
Okay. Tell me
So
about
those were
that. What is
they were
that?
glass slides, and they were on a projector. So the old, little 35 millimeter slide projector. These were
Okay.
glass slides.
Wow.
She was
That's
way ahead
innovative.
of her time.
Wow. Well, obviously. Okay. So, let's talk about how we met.
Yes,
Both members of the National Association of Black Journalists. It had to have been around 2002, I believe.
that's about. I think that's about right.
Would that have been the Milwaukee Convention or
Yes, I think
Orlando?
it was
It was
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Okay. Well, I was toying with the idea of starting a business, and at the most, I thought maybe I'd freelance. So I started kind of putting feelers out there, and there were two people that I spoke with. One was Valerie Burton, the life coach, and now what, 9 times New York Times selling author now, and you. And at the time, you were a very high powered producer somewhere,
I was, yeah.
right?
I think at that point I was at ABC,
Yes.
and my book On Her Own Ground had come out a year or so before. So I think I was, marketing that book at
Right.
NABJ. But
So,
my dear, I thought that when we went to have a drink or have lunch,
mm-hmm.
I thought you'd been in business for a long time. You just
No,
had
I
that,
hadn't.
boss thing going on.
Well, I made it clear, especially after you signed that contract, that you were my first client. And I was so excited because this story of Madam Walker, I felt was just going to bless my business because it really was about empowering women. And here I was on my own, doing my own thing, starting my own business, and to have her spirit even in the mix really was just astounding to me.
Well, what I loved about the way that you approached me is to find out what I was passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I was trying to promote my book, but I had this opportunity. There were so many doors that opened to me because of telling Madam Walker's story. And I could talk to students at Harvard Business School,
Mm-hmm.
but I had recently, right before I saw you, I had spoken with women who were at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility
Right, I remember
in
that.
New York.
Uh-huh.
And that had come about. I'd given a lecture, and some women were at the lecture, and they said, they're teaching your book On Her Own Ground at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. And I was so excited to hear that. And I
Yeah.
said, but I would really love to visit the prison.
Mm-hmm.
And they arranged for me to visit the prison. And these women had studied that book like it was a textbook. They had some of the best questions. They had reports that they had written. And I was so moved by them, and knowing they didn't, at that point, the internet was still relatively new,
Mm-hmm.
but they in prison did not have access to the internet, but
Right.
they could read books.
Mm-hmm.
And what you and I talked about was sending books to the prison. And I'm sure you're the one who came up with the name, which was 100 Books, 100 Women.
Right,
And
right.
I sent an email at that point because I don't know, it was way
There was
before
no
Facebook.
social media.
Right.
Right.
I sent an email to a bunch of friends, women writers, and I said, I'm going to be sending boxes of books to Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. Please send copies of your book and any other books that you want to get rid of. And we sent hundreds of books to Bedford Hills
It
Correctional
was so
Facility.
exciting. It was so exciting. Anyway, we became friends and became business partners almost, as
Right.
you were my client and you had your book on her own ground, and you were the biographer, and so I needed to read that book, dispel any myths that I thought I knew about Madam Walker, and learn the story of women's empowerment. So let me ask you this. What have you thought about how the internet has actually worked to empower Black women to learn more about their hair?
Well, now all you have to do is go on YouTube, and you can find that somebody has hair that's your texture. You can find out what products that you may be interested in, whether they work for you, whether they're overpriced, whether
Mhm.
they're whether they're a good fit. And everybody's hair texture is really different. So
Absolutely.
what will work for one person may not work for you. And actually, what will work for you in the summer may not work for you in the
And
winter.
you may have a couple different textures on your hair, on your
At
head.
least,
Right.
at least a
Mm-hmm.
couple different
Right.
ones. But it allows women to exchange information. And, I think when, there were people who were living in communities where there were, no black beauty salons,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't really have access. If you're not in a big city, then it's often hard to find somebody who can take care of your hair. And the internet really allows people to figure out ways to take care of their hair and to connect with other people.
Right.
And it's not just YouTube. There are, as you know, all kinds of Facebook groups where people
Right.
exchange information.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really opened things up. And I would say the other thing is that when a kid is expelled from school for having natural hair, when somebody is fired from a job, when the military tried to tell black women that they couldn't have their hair natural, it went viral.
Yes.
And every time that happens, it goes viral. So you really can't keep these things hidden and under control the way that they used to be.
Absolutely. So talk about the connection between black hair, or even hair in general for women, taking care of it, and empowerment. There's a link there.
There
What would
is.
you say?
There is. And I think that in many instances, many of us grow up with, not a lot of confidence about our hair.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I discovered that when we did Mocha Moms and reading to daughters. And that was sort of right in front of me, as I could see moms coming to the library with their daughters and, getting tips about hair, and realizing that one of the great revelations for me is that even if you figure out your own hair, because you may have 3 or 4 different things going on with your hair, you may not understand your daughter's hair because she has your genes as well as her father's gene. And you may have 3 or 4 daughters, and each of them may have different hair. So it is about learning the texture of your hair and becoming comfortable with it. And what your hair will do is not necessarily what your sister's hair will do or what your best friend's hair will do. And I'm still on that journey.
Yes.
At many, 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 many years later,
yes,
I have now, my hair is long. I wore my hair really short for maybe 20 or 25 years. And in the last 5 years or so, I decided to let it grow because I like the gray. Everybody,
It's
many
beautiful.
people don't like the gray, but I like it. But I'm still right now kind of on a journey where I'm wearing it up because I can't quite figure out what it is, but I'm trying to let it be what it wants to be. And it's hard. I think people feel the pressure to look a certain way. They think that somebody, the guy in their life, the woman in their life wants them to look a certain way.
Right.
But it's really about getting comfortable with yourself.
It really is. And you know what? That curl pattern, we kind of see ourselves in these cycles where at first it was, okay, do you let your texture do what it does? But then at some point in there, I don't know if you noticed, there was this quest for the perfect curl pattern. And whether you were a 4C or a 1B, everybody was trying to make it look one way. And, there was some dialogue online about, wait. Aren't we kind of falling into the same thing, even though it's not with relaxers? We're trying to make everyone's hair look the same.
Exactly.
And a lot of that happens. But there's something about women and their crown and glory, right? That gives us confidence. And if we're fine with the way we look, we can go about life and execute things with excellence, with our head up and all of that. And I think that's something that Madam Walker tapped into. Maybe she understood that if women didn't feel good about their appearance, they couldn't be their best selves.
Right, and that you shouldn't have to spend all day doing your hair. That your hair should not be something that takes so much time that you become obsessed with it. That finding a way that is, something that is quick, especially if you're busy and if you have kids or you have a job. I mean, you can't really spend a whole Saturday doing your hair. Like, what is a style that's going to function for you at whatever stage in life you're living at that point? But
Right.
she also knew that healthy hair was the most important thing. I'm not so sure that she would. In fact, I know she would not be all that excited about all the weaves and all the wigs and
Mm-hmm.
all of that. But sometimes that's the best. That's the easiest way for people to function.
Right.
So she would understand that, but I think that she would really be emphasizing having healthy hair and figuring out how to do it. Though I will say, to your point about everybody wanting to have the same curl pattern, whose hair I love, Cornell Belcher, who's the brother
Oh,
who's like the political analyst. I love
yes.
his hair,
His hair
but
is
my
gorgeous.
hair won't do that. And I saw another friend and I said, "Oh, girl, I love your hair." And she said, "This is a wig."
Yeah.
So, you know, you
Oh
just
yeah,
really,
the synthetic hair and even the
hmm
hair from other places that people
right,
get has evolved so much that you could get clip-ins and all sorts of things to add to your hair that look natural,
right.
like a 3B or something, whatever the texture, and it looks so real. You don't
It looks
know
so real.
what's going on. So
And so
let me.
then it becomes playful, and
Yes.
I think there's that part of like what is healthy hair. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's a point where you just want to kind of let it go and have fun. And that's a good thing too.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's something that you did about 2 years ago that got me so excited, and I think I saw it on Facebook when you made the announcement. But you started a product line. Do you want to talk
Right.
about that?
Yes. So I'm very happy to be the brand historian for Madam CJ Walker Beauty Culture. And Richelieu Dennis, who people will know from Sundial Brands, he was the
Yes.
founder of Sundial Brands, which makes Shea Moisture
Mm-hmm.
and Nubian Heritage.
Yes.
And Madam CJ Walker Beauty Culture is Sundial Brands' prestige line that is sold exclusively in Sephora. And
Woohoo!
it is really exciting for me to be a part of this Sundial brand family because
Mm-hmm.
Richelieu is just a good guy. I
You
mean,
can tell.
and his family, his sister, his mother,
Yes.
the people who work there, they have community commerce, so they're about philanthropy in the
Mm-hmm.
same way that Madam Walker was. And as some people may know, he recently bought Essence,
Right.
and he has started this new Visions Fund, which is a $100 million venture capital
And
fund to
so
support
many
Black
women
women. Black,
entrepreneurs,
right,
yes,
right.
Black women entrepreneurs are benefiting from it and growing their businesses, which is exciting.
So I love that Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Culture is a part of that sort of trio, that pantheon,
Yeah.
and that it's all new products. Like Madam Walker's original formulas were great 113 years ago
Right.
when she
Right.
started her company, but we've had the benefit of 100 years of research and development. So 24 SKUs with all natural products
Mm-hmm.
and natural ingredients and things that really address different textures. So Madam Walker's original formulas were great for more than a century ago.
Mm-hmm.
They did what they were supposed to do then, but we've had a century's worth of research and development. So now these new products are really about hair texture and about enhancing your hair texture. So there's something for every texture, whether your hair is kinky, whether
Mm-hmm.
it is curly, whether it is straight. And as we've said, some people have all of those things going on.
Right.
So it's really addressing the fact that everybody's got the frizzy sometimes and
Mm-hmm.
everybody needs moisture.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what Madam CJ Walker Beauty Culture is all about.
Anything in there for shrinkage? Because I know that's one
Oh
thing that
yeah,
we deal with that.
definitely. The Jamaican black castor oil, absolutely.
Oh wow.
So and people can go to mcjwbeautyculture.com.
Perfect, perfect. So what's your favorite in the line? What's your favorite
So I
product?
love there's things the oils I really like. There's a Jamaican black castor oil, there's a brassica seed oil, and it's just a little bit, and I put it
Mm-hmm.
on my hair and it gives it some shine. There's a buttercream, Jamaican black castor oil
Mm.
buttercream
Mm-hmm.
that just kind of refreshes my hair.
Right.
And then there's a coconut spray.
Ooh.
And and the shampoos are very nice too. But those, I think the post wash product is the thing that we
Oh,
use the most.
absolutely. Styling products help us maintain. So you have something else going on. So the book, On Her Own Ground, has something happening. You want to talk
I'm
about that?
so excited. This has been the journey of
Yes.
having written On Her Own Ground, which came out in 2001.
Yes.
is now going to be a Netflix series.
Woohoo!
So this is, and it's as if I have been step by step and setbacks and obstacles and things, doors that were shut. And about 3 years ago, Mark Holder from Zero Gravity Management approached me about acquiring the rights to my book, and that led to Octavia Spencer
Wow.
being approached to be an actor. And when she met with Mark Holder, she said, I'm also interested in being an executive producer.
Ooh.
And she then brought LeBron James in.
Oh, I didn't know about LeBron. Oh, that's
So
huge.
I'm very excited. So Spring Hill Entertainment is part of it as well.
Oh,
And
wow.
I've been around this block many times, but I think it is finally really happening.
I think this sounds really, really promising.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Alelia. Almost 20 years later.
Almost 20 years later.
Wow.
But I think that's about any entrepreneur. You plant those seeds and you just really can't give up. And I think when you really do have the entrepreneurial spirit, you don't even realize how much time has gone by.
Right.
You're just in that. You're just in that. About it. Yeah. You're just in it. And you just keep going.
Well, and that's one of the common threads in many of the conversations that I'm having with friends that are joining me on the Culture Soup podcast. We all have this entrepreneurial spirit. And it's so interesting to hear how that seed was planted and why. Lauren Milan from New York. She's a brand strategist and she's an author as well. She started out in her late teens owning a vineyard.
Wow.
Yeah. So, her story is really intriguing. But technology and culture and business are just running through everybody's veins that I'm talking to. So I got to ask you this. Go ahead.
No, go
on. So I have to ask you, how has technology empowered what you do as an entrepreneur and a writer and historian?
Well, because I started with the typewriter. But I have multiple platforms. I have desktop, laptop, 3 iPads, iPhone. I'm on them all the time. And I love that now with the cloud, everything. I have access to everything.
Yes.
So that allows me to be on social media. If I'm on the airplane, it allows me to be able to communicate wherever I am, to work on editing the new book that I'm working on. And I've been gone from network television news for more than a decade, which is very hard for me to believe. So I'm not in a newsroom doing that sort of daily grind, but I do feel really connected. And that's because of Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and email, that I'm able to, really keep up my contacts with people.
Right. And you still have the same email address. Let's see. Well, you still have AOL, don't you?
Well, I haven't closed that down, but I never look at it. But yeah.
At some point, some of them just get so full of spam.
Exactly.
I get it.
It's I used to use that AOL for like junk mail, and then I realized there were some accounts that I wanted to see, so I just sort of acquiesced and put everything on Gmail, and now Gmail will put those social media
to the side
advertisement things in the folder, so that's good.
Absolutely. So, Alelia, tell the listeners where they can find your book, because it's still out there in circulation. B, get your products. I think you gave us an address to go to, but give that to us again. And anything else you want us to look out for, because it sounds like you have a new book coming.
So my website is aleliabundles.com, ALELIA bundles.com. And our Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Culture website is mcjwbeautyculture.com. I also have a Madam, MADAM, CJWalker.com website. And I'm on Instagram, Alelia Bundles, at Alelia Bundles. I'm on Twitter, at Alelia Bundles. And I'm on Facebook, Alelia Bundles and Alelia Bundles author. And then I have 5 or 6 different Facebook things. Black hair historian.
Yes.
I have that. But those are the places where I post a lot. And and I use the platforms in a different kind of way. I really like my personal Facebook page, and I do a lot of politics on that, but that page is pretty private because I don't necessarily want my political stuff way out there. I don't think anything is really private on the internet. but I like to have conversations with people.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter I use for news feeds. I don't really want to get into arguments with people and the crazy trolls who are on Twitter, but I value Twitter for the
Oh yeah,
news that I get and
and
what I
up to
can.
the minute
It
too.
helps me see what's going on.
Right.
Absolutely. And I'm just learning Instagram. It's fun.
It
It's more
is
fun than I
fun,
thought it was going to
isn't
be.
it?
And I was kind of afraid to do it because I thought, oh my God, all I need is one more time suck. But it's
Oh,
pretty manageable.
it is. The pace is manageable, and I think you can guard access to. That's actually one of the reasons why I moved off of Facebook and went whole hog into Instagram. It's a slower pace. People don't get into these tit for tats, and it's a lot of foolishness on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, I've eliminated those people. I just have to say,
Right.
I don't deal
I
with
don't
the
blame
foolishness.
you. I don't blame you. So, do you want to talk about the book you're working on?
Sure. So I have now, since I saw you, I've written two other books, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on yet another one. So I have written a young adult book that came out in '91,
Mm-hmm.
then On Her Own Ground that came out in 2001, then an Arcadia book with 200 photographs called Madam C.J. Walker Theater Center
Oh
and
wow.
Indianapolis Treasure. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of those Arcadia books with the sepia cover
Mm-hmm.
that came out a few years ago. Then last year, I wrote a new children's book called All About Madam C.J. Walker.
Mm-hmm.
And those are all, you can find all of those on aleliabundles.com, but also on Amazon. And the book that I'm working on now, which I've been working on for a really long time, but I'm almost finished, is a biography of Alelia Walker and the Harlem Renaissance.
Yes. I
So
remember
it's
you
called,
first talking about that,
right,
and it
it's a
sounded
long time
so
ago,
fascinating. This is
right,
your grandmother, right?
my great grandmother,
Great grandmother. Okay.
right,
So, Madam Walker's daughter.
Madam Walker's daughter. And it's
Okay.
called The Joy Goddess of Harlem
Mm-hmm.
because Langston Hughes called her the Joy Goddess of Harlem's
Oh,
1920s. And
wow.
book the Big C because she gave great parties and she was really flamboyant and interesting. She traveled internationally. She was a big patron of the arts, and I learned a lot in doing the research about her. I really had not given her the credit for being the patron that she was and how she brought together the actors and musicians and writers and artists, and her
Wow.
homes were the place to be.
Yeah, you said she'd have these parlors
Right.
where the great writers, the great artists would show up and just do what they did,
Right.
right?
There was always live music.
Wow.
She really enjoyed having on, and she knew everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I have books that were autographed by Langston Hughes and Count Cullen, Jean Toomer, things
Mm-hmm.
that were in her library. And we've been, that's part of my Madam C.J. Walker archives,
Mm-hmm.
family archives, and those things. That's sort of one of my other hats that I wear. And as soon as I finish this book, I'm going to donate a lot of things to the Schlesinger Library on the
Mm-hmm.
History of Women in America at Harvard. I've donated some things to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. So I really want people, when I'm gone, I want these things to be there so other people can learn from them and they can feel empowered by Madam Walker's
That
life.
is so amazing. I am empowered just talking to you, Amelia, and I'm so glad that you're in my life, and we gotta stay in contact better. That's
Well,
for sure.
I'm so proud of you because to know that I was in that, first cohort of your
Yes.
clients, to have watched you develop a business and then to have watched you reinvent. And it's not really reinvent, I guess, but just sort of
Yes.
continue to take things to a next level, to keep
Mm-hmm.
opening doors for yourself and finding your next bliss is a wonderful thing.
Thank you. I like to say I'm a builder and a fixer, and I need to have that outlet. So as I'm doing the podcast and I'm writing and contributing to national publications, there's some other things that I'm building, and this really is the framework for it. So it really does scratch an itch that I have when it comes to entrepreneurship, even though I work for a Fortune 9. And it also allows me to have an outlet to have these conversations in a way that just really nurtures human relationships. And some of these conversations I have are primarily just for audio because they are podcasts. But I like to have that face-to-face contact. So even if you're in Montreal, Canada, like with Audrey Dubois Harris, just having that interaction is so awesome. So
Well, that's the technology you're talking about. The idea that we can, see each other and have this conversation and sort of get updated on what you look like now.
I know,
That,
right?
it's stunning. And you think that when people think about what they, what kind of obstacles they might have, it's not that people don't have obstacles and it's not that people don't have setbacks. That's a very real part of life.
Right.
But there are so many outlets and so many platforms and so many
Absolutely.
tools that we can
Absolutely.
use now.
Yes, absolutely. Amelia, it has been a pleasure. I am so excited for everything that is happening, and it's awesome to see you.
Likewise, great to see
Okay,
you.
thanks for coming on.
All right,
All right.
my pleasure.
The Culture Soup Podcast is a production of No Silos Communication.